Round two.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Super clear.
No
No
echo.
echo. Good to go. So fuck it. It's all good, bro.
You aren't getting
Quest.
any echo, are you?
What's up?
You aren't getting any echo, are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, awesome.
He's
This
good.
is yeah. It had to be the mic,
Might have been, yeah. It's all good though, bro. So,
the cheap ones.
so I don't fuck with Apple, bro. So I don't fuck with
Yeah.
Apple, dude.
I was scared of the Bluetooth dying while we were in the middle of the interview.
Oh yeah, that's crazy, brother. But fast forward it because we kind of course, the cutoff talked about the importance of the show, what it means to have you on here for me at least, because we served together, and I definitely want to convey to people, your story that you have. So we went through basic, you signed up, went straight after high school just like me, and went through airborne school, stupid, pretty easy, showing up to unit. Last thing I asked you was, I remember my first day over there showing up, straight fucking haze session. I was like, fuck, am I back at fucking basic, dude? I was like, what the fuck, dude? Everybody's fucking up and I'm getting
Oh, that was
fucked
worse
over.
than basic.
Oh, dude, it was, man. They fucked it for every little thing. And there's one person I always remember, no matter what, especially day one, getting fucked with is Carson, dude.
Oh, I thought you were going to say who was harsh to us. I thought you were about to say Higgins.
Oh, Higgins is up there, dude. Not only just because of size, man, but he's just straight onto you, like no fucking difference on that. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Interesting. Uh, fuck, did we arrive together, or were you a little bit after?
No, literally, I got there because I was the Halloween crowd, but you got there like right before Halloween, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can't really
So
remember.
so yeah, then I got there with the Halloween group, and then there was the Christmas group where Carson and Olivas and a lot of them ended up coming through, and then that's when I felt they stopped bothering us. But if there's one thing that sticks out in my head above all, probably one of the most difficult things, and I'm sure you probably remember this, even though nobody was there, everybody remembers the story of how I got called the burpee champion because Higgins made me do so many burpees I passed out. He literally yeah, I don't know if you remember that. He told me to get a haircut, but my hair was literally like this short. And I
Yeah,
was just thinking, what's the point? I'm gonna go waste, go get another haircut. And I think he was
yeah,
just
yeah.
doing that to test me. I didn't get a haircut that weekend. That Monday, he asked if I got a haircut, and I didn't lie. I said, no, I didn't get a haircut, but look, it's still in regs. And he just like, well, I don't give a fuck, and he made me start doing burpees, and then Crook, remember Sergeant Crook?
Oh, I remember starting correct. Yeah,
Yeah, he came in there and he looked at me and he was like, "Hey, how long have you been like? Who told you to do burpees?" And I said, "Specialist Higgins told me to do burpees." And he's like, "Well, he left like an hour ago, so go get some water, dude. You look like you're about dead." And I was like, "Oh, Roger, Sergeant." And I remember I did my last burpee. I turned around in the cage room. I just turned around, passed out, hit the wall right there beside the door, and then just kind of like got up. I looked like my eyes were bloodshot red. I had to go back there and just I was chugging water. Everybody was already back in the barracks. Yeah, that was probably one of the roughest things that happened.
oh my goodness, dude. I heard about it, but I didn't see it. Especially because with that, even though it's funny, like we all intermingled in that sense, because we were part of First Platoon. Um, for people who don't know, we served in the 82nd Airborne. That was stationed. We were both stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, right there. Good old 80 Deuce, all Americans. And I always remember our mutual friend who sadly passed away, um, our buddy Nicholas Carson, getting just destroyed that day, man. It was just I don't know what it was. It was actually you just said his name, Sergeant
With Crook,
yeah, Sergeant Crook. For some reason they just did not fucking like Carson. He just started fucking with him, man.
I don't
So
think many
bad.
did.
Yeah, so bad. And I remember something was going on and they kind of gave him a break and Lieutenant Viernes at the time was coming
Oh
in
boy.
and he said something to Carson, and Carson just like was sitting down and just shaking his head, and it was Sergeant Crook and I can't remember the other guy. I can't remember the other guy's name. He was like the first dude to pick me up. Like you would recognize his voice. Like I don't know if he stayed in first platoon or he was a part of second platoon. But it was like typical typical. He had blonde hair. I can't remember his name. But he just started going on his ass. Like, don't you fucking shake your head at a fucking lieutenant. And then all of a sudden, dude, you just see everybody just fuck with him, to the point where I remember at one point he said he couldn't do anymore, and they just had a medic come over and check him out and just see if he was actually right. And he went to him, he's gonna go, and just fucking threw me for it, dude. It was like a
I
good
don't
fucking
remember
3 hours. I was just looking, I was like, fuck, man.
that.
I'm staying in my lane. I'm good. I'm good. I was lucky, man. Like they didn't really fuck with me. It was rare that I got fucked with just because I just did what I was told. I just shut the fuck up and I did my thing. And it's so
Well, you're a
crazy how
PT
everybody
stud too. You aren't telling your viewers.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the infantry, if you're a PT stud, nobody bothers you.
Yeah. I still remember John Sy, who actually went back in the military. I don't know if you knew that he went
No, I didn't know
he's
that.
going back as an officer. Yeah, I didn't even know that either. And so
I
Higgins
really
posted
wouldn't
about it.
expect that.
I didn't expect that either, dude. I was like, what the hell? But I still think, Specialist Sy at the time, John Sy, was such a good figure for me that he definitely helped me in regards to my military career and post military, just because he showed me like what a really good leader is, like how to really treat your man, how it should be is, and which helped us, like especially down the road when we got deployed. It was such a crazy thing for us to kind of go back in there. But I always remember, I forgot we did PT one day, and then the next day it's like, hey, you're in pretty good shape. You're gonna start leading PT. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and that was a rough squad to be in for PT because I
Yeah.
think Cy was one team leader and then Higgins was the other team leader, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
or two PT freaks. So that was a rough squad.
I remember they would go to that CrossFit gym up in the right by the PX. I forget the fuck the name of that CrossFit gym. But we'd always go there,
That
and
wasn't funk, was it?
it might have been. I think it might have been. I remember going there, and it was my first time working out with them. And this is when they showed me it was death by 8 or something. Like pretty much the whole workout you had to do, everything was repetition of 8, but not lightweight. It was like a fucking 45-pound bar with 45s on it. I remember seeing Higgins do it. I didn't get like 2. Dude, you have 35 minutes to do as many reps as you can. And it's like, Higgins just knocking it out like fucking crazy, dude. Just like nothing. I was like, fuck.
Yeah,
But
they made
he's like,
everything look easy.
yeah. Both of those motherfuckers did, man. But fast forward, we do our time, we do all the stupid training. One thing that me and you always have in common, and I love telling this story to people, was I got LASIK, but you had this crazy fucking finger thing going on.
See if I can get it on.
This crazy thing. What actually was it? Was it like a spider bite or what was it?
No, that was Myers that kept saying, "Well, that's just a spider bite, Wally. You're okay." And I'm like, I don't know if this is a spider bite. Like at this point, I'm sure you remember, like everybody in the platoon remembers, my finger was like that big around by then,
Yeah.
and he just kept saying it's a spider bite. And I remember we went to AP Hill, and it was literally oozing out like onto my boot. It was disgusting, and I forgot our platoon sergeant at the time at APL, but he saw it oozing out, and he was just like, "Go to the what do they call it, the medic tent or whatever."
Yeah.
He's like, "Just get out of here. You're not going to training. Just go get that thing checked out." And so, because I just kept saying, "Well, Myers says it's a spider bite, so it's a spider bite." And finally, so I go see the medics, and they look at it, and it was like they just glanced. They're like, "That's not a spider bite." At first, they thought it was cellulitis in the finger, and then they found out pretty quick it was MRSA. Sent me over to Fort Lee from AP Hill. And that's where, I got the. They found out it was MRSA, definitely. He said he was about to have to cut off my finger if I didn't get down there. So thanks, Sergeant Myers. They almost cut off my one hand now, because that would have been one less finger on my one hand, but they ended up not having to cut it off. And then that's when we had our own training exercise at AP Hill.
For a lot of people who don't know, is I was having LASIK surgery and I was already having complication. I wasn't even supposed to go. So at the last minute, like, no, yeah, we got you going, but don't worry, you're gonna be just at the cop. You're just gonna be doing radio. Well, no one told me that, so I didn't take anything with me. I didn't take no drops with me. I wasn't prepared to go. I was like, okay, cool, I'm just staying here. If I didn't go, I would never have spent a fucking year wearing those stupid ass glasses, dude. So much complications of that shit just because of there. And for people who've had LASIK, it's a very easy procedure. It was like I was done 5 minutes. Shit, I
Yeah, I
think he
was in the
took me.
next room. You could
Yeah, I think he
smell
took
it
me.
in the next room while I was waiting
Yeah.
on you. They literally walked you back there, and like I couldn't even open a magazine and start reading it. And they were like, "Well, I'm done." What do you mean?
It was such a quick procedure, and it's actually very low, like, negative side effects. It's very rare that you do, but of course, being the army that the army is, they'll find a way to fuck it up. And nothing on the doctors. The doctors did amazing. It was more of going to train their exercises when I wasn't supposed to, being exposed to like fucking filth. Fast forward later, all the training that we go through. My last recollection where I kind of was able to get back into the kind of platoon to have the ability to connect with everybody was after what's the place in the desert right before we went to deployment?
uh, Fort Irwin,
Port Oren, Port Oren, California. And fuck you
old
motherfuckers, they're all
NPC.
saying, oh yeah, all you motherfuckers saying, oh, this is Cali, this Cali sucks. And I was like, fuck you guys, this ain't Cali. I was like,
I
it's
was
a
just
training
like
base.
sweet tea.
Yeah.
Like went somewhere, and I remember I asked for sweet tea, and the ladies just looked at me funny and started throwing sugar packets down on the table, and Tiff and me just looked at each other, and we're like, "How dare you?"
Going back to that, you guys came back. I was able to talk to Sergeant Harris at the time, like, hey, I'm ready to come back. They checked me off. I'm good to go. Cool. Started doing the training, getting ready for deployment, a little bit there. Fast forward, we go to deployment, and it's like, no shit. I still remember to this day getting there, and as soon as we got there, one of the ANAs wound up killing somebody on,
We
just,
were still in Kyrgyzstan.
yeah, we were still there.
Yeah, we
They
didn't
wound up
even.
killing somebody there.
Yeah,
And for people who've never done actual deployment or just kind of stayed over, a lot of times at the time when we're going to Afghanistan, we're kind of like that last push. They had you go to Kyrgyzstan for like last minute training, kind of rollover drills, get any little actual extra material that you needed to get. So we're there, I think, for a good, I think, solid week, and then we
yeah.
shipped out. We shipped out to Kandahar. For Kandahar, we were there, I think, a couple days, and then we all started leaving like in increments. We all kind of got there later by later. I remember getting there right away. I'll never forget it. I don't know if you were the same flight with me, but I remember getting there, and as soon as we touched down, just just started.
Oh no! I thought you were talking about Kyrgyzstan, where the runway was ice.
Oh no, I remember that though.
And Bynes was fucking with me so bad because like what was it, my first 8 times in a plane, I was jumping out of them, so I never landed until
Mm.
California and then Kyrgyzstan, and Bynes kept looking at me. He was like, I don't know, man, that doesn't feel right. Planes don't usually do that, and I was like, oh man, like what do you mean they don't do that?
A lot of people who don't know, part of our job was jumping out of the airplanes. So it's very we're so used to kind of numb to the fact that it's so common to us. The little things that we forget about, like, oh fuck, a plane's not supposed to do that because we're usually out of it, like you said. But going fast forward from there, I remember going there, and I remember looking at that place that we were. I forget the name of it. Was it Gariban? No, that was later, huh?
Or are you talking about
The very first place we
Papeete,
stayed. No, the very
Pencalet, or
is that the first place we stayed at?
Pencalet was the first cop we were at, where we moved from CAF over to Pencalet.
There you go, Pankale. I remember one of my initial thoughts of being there after going like the first time out there. I was like, damn, it's actually not that bad here. I'm like, all right, because I remember that setup compared to where we wound up going.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, they got a shower here, makeshift showers. They're not real showers. They have some bathrooms. We're able to actually call people. We had a gym there. I was like,
Video games.
video games. Like it was set up
Mortal
decently.
Kombat champion.
Yeah. I was like, all right, this is pretty set up nice. fast forward later, we do our missions there. We wind up doing it. One of the biggest key memories I have from that area was, of course, that mission, that great mission that we had, which I've talked a little bit about on this podcast just on my own. I remember starting super, super fucking early. I think it was like 03. We started
You're talking about the big one, right?
the big one, the big one.
Yeah.
And the biggest difference of that one was how long of a day that was. I think we wound up going from like 03 to like pretty much the next day.
Yeah, and
And
none of the privates knew anything about anything that was going on, really.
yep, yep.
Yeah, that was really sketchy. And it's like, hey, these two dudes with beards, no patches, are also going to go with you. Like, oh, what's the worst that could happen?
Right? My thing I want to talk about is that firefight. I remember walking, especially for us, we were part of the gun team, so it was our mission kind of have that overall security. I remember at the time I was in the very back with Sergeant G. It was myself, Carson, and I already was carrying the Gustav at that point, and Zettel. And I think you and Shiloh were ahead of me. I remember we were about to cross the fucking pipe right before
Oh.
Myers almost fucking fell in, and
Oh, yeah.
we were about to cross the pipe, and all of a sudden, dude, just start firing at us. I remember we go in the wadi, and it's just a shit show, dude. I'll let you tell your part because you have better clarity of it from what I was seeing, of course, because I was kind of seeing what was going on with Zettel. Um, you and Shiloh get to position, and then go from there. What happened after that?
So if we're going to just fast forward to the pipe thing, because like you said, we woke up very early, went to a lot of compounds, ended up meeting with some guy that didn't realize it until after deployment, claimed to be prior CIA. We just weird stuff. But yeah, when we went to go cross that pipe, because it got pretty quiet there for a little bit, which is always a bad sign. And then we went to go cross that pipe, and this is one thing I'll never forget in my life is when I went to go cross the pipe, and as you know, and a lot of people watching probably know, on a gun team, you always want to stay near the gunner. You don't want to let the gunner run away, especially as an AG. If I got the binos, I got all the ammo. If I get separated from Shiloh, like he could run out of ammo pretty quick, especially only having that 100 round starter belt that we used.
Yeah,
And so I went to go cross. Shiloh had crossed the bridge, and I'm looking at this thing like it was, like a telephone pole. I thought I was going to fall, especially with all that weight in my bag. And I go to cross, and right as I go to cross, because Shiloh had got across, and then an Afghan National Army member came over there, pushed me out of the way, cut me in line, and started walking across. And at first I was just like, what the fuck, dude? I'm trying to stay near Shiloh. Just in case we hit contact, and then this asshole's just going to cut me. Well, that's where I figured out a little bit about karma. He cut me in line, and that was the same guy who ended up getting shot in the head. And so that was what started that ambush. They shot at us from the hill to the northeast. Then they shot at us from the south. Those were the main two directions, but I think there was another spot they were hitting us from. But the guys on the hill shot that guy right in the head that just cut me in line, and we all jumped in the wadi. And I remember G yelling over, John Beluga yelling over, he was like, "Hey, Wally, is that guy good?" And I had never seen somebody get shot in the head before up to that point, so I didn't know when you get shot in the head, your body still moves. And I remember looking at the dude, and the dude was like, still had his gun in hand and was kind of moving. And I looked at G, I was like, "Oh, he's good." Yeah, he wasn't good. He wasn't good at all. Yeah, and then Carson and me got in a big argument about this, about who killed the guy who killed him. I killed him, but because I remember aiming too low and hitting him in the dick, and I remember it looked like somebody took a sledgehammer and smacked him in the hip. And because I remember the dude just fell over, like face planted, started crawling away. Next guy popped around the corner. Because we had to jump in that wadi, I had mud like all over my receiver. So my gun ended up jamming, and how it didn't blow up on me, I don't know. But it ended up jamming, and I remember Shiloh literally turned around, and that angle was so awkward. But Shiloh literally pretty much mowed that dude in half. That's where I realized how good Shiloh was because I knew he was good at his job, especially that second firefight we got into. You know, I'd watched him. He was, you know, he did an amazing job listening and, you know, hit right on the money. And I remember it was just like whack-a-mole watching these dudes drop off the roof when Shiloh popped them. But that was a weird shot for 240. But Shiloh did his job. As you know, we end up getting out of the wadi, and then we end up going and taking the high ground, taking that dude's compound over, which that was a whole nother story in itself. And then that's when people like you had to go up there on the roof and start. We gave them everything we had that firefight, and you know, that's probably, you know, obviously you got the scarring moments like that guy getting shot in the head through and through the helmet, but then probably the funniest moment, which obviously you remember, but everybody always talks about that was in that firefight, is they always laugh at the at you loading up the Carl Gustav for Carson, and then you just see on the video like him turn around, and then you're just like, it's literally what, just your head. But yeah, which that was one part that was wrong in the book. I noticed when I was reading it said, I think it said I fired the Carl Gustav, or I loaded it, and I was like, no, I was on the Fido position, like that compound y'all were on. I was right in front of it, just curled up in the Fido position, like, oh, this is about to be bad. But yeah, that was a crazy day, and you know, a lot of time there was calm moments in it. You know, like I remember having to watch the family while y'all were doing your job because we didn't really have anybody to watch the family. So I remember watching them, and then they kept wondering, like, what are we? Because that area had seen no Americans at all, and God knows how long, if at all. And they didn't know what we did.
Beginning.
Yeah, and because I remember there was somebody out there that, like, who was it? Somebody thought we were Russians.
I can't remember who.
I can't remember if it was out there or if we moved anyway. Yeah, so I remember drawing on a piece of paper, paratroopers jumping out of planes, and giving it to the little kids. But yeah, a lot of that firefight, I spent time with the family during that, which was very weird to be spending time with them while, you know, y'all are over there slaying bodies. Even the ANA, I remember the firefight had a calm moment, and the ANA, as a, you know, anybody that's deployed probably knows, they just go crazy with RPGs. And that, you remember that guy that just kept shooting the RPG, yep. And somebody yelled at him. But I remember I was drinking tea with the family, and every time I would go to, like, right as I'm about to take a sip, that guy would just, boom, shoot the RPG again, and I would just, like, spill the tea all over myself. But yeah, then obviously, you know, I remember the ANA being extremely pissed, you know, leaving us out there by ourselves. That was, you know, that I had a lot of love for the Afghan National Army, especially a lot of the ones we worked with toward the end, and a lot of the commandos were great, but that pissed me off. Not as bad as the first platoon, where we knew they were working with the Taliban. Somebody was working with the Taliban in that platoon we worked with. The second one just gave up on us, which I don't blame them, especially after that firefight. I think they thought we were just psychopaths, and usually it was their blood that was being spilled, not ours. But yeah, that was an interesting day.
Fast forwarding a bit, just because, of course, of time here, man. What I really want to get to you, of course, the next like 15 minutes that I have with you here, is a big thing that I don't think a lot of people get to understand is actually being wounded in combat. And I'm not talking about, oh, you got shot in the leg or something of that nature, or some little thing happened to you. I mean, legit wounded. You've seen already, you've shown it already. You know, you lost. Unfortunately, you got blown up and you lost your arm and your leg. Talk to me. What do you remember? I remember that area exactly, and I don't remember anything prior because, like I told you, when we had talked previous to this, I was sick. I got sent back to one of the other strong points, and I was sick. And the only reason why I ever wound up actually knowing that you got hurt was because I was there, because I was sick. But talk to me. What do you remember up to that point?
Yeah, and we had switched squads, a few weeks before that, so we didn't get to talk as much after I switched squads. But
Yeah.
no, that day, there's only one thing I actually blacked out, and I didn't know until Sergeant Williams ended up telling me one day that we got ambushed right before I got blown up. I don't remember that at all. So what I remember is waking up. I remember going out on a mission that day, and I remember, popping up out of the grape rows like we always did, and stopping these guys, questioning them. They were lying. One guy took off. We went after the guy that took off, and we told the other ones to, not come in this area again. This is a very bad area, and we may mistake you for Taliban. So they ended up leaving, and then when they left, we went after that guy, and this is where I don't remember anything, and I think it's because all my, such a traumatic event, my brain focused on the actual IED blast, so I don't remember everything from questioning the guys all the way up to the grape rows. I remember going through these grape rows and coming up on this compound, really sketchy compound, probably like the sketchiest compound I ever saw in Afghanistan, and there were some sketchy compounds out there. But that one just, there was the windows being barred up on some sections. It was just, everything was weird about it. Nothing felt right, and it was an L-shaped compound, 2 floors, and obviously you don't want the saw gunner clearing a room by himself, but how in combat, just you do what you got to do in the moment. And I remember I cleared the small part of the L while Joe, Leon, Williams, Twist, and I didn't even realize an Afghan National Army member, they all went into the big part of the compound. And while I'm clearing my room, I see weird things like, burn marks on the ground. So obviously there's IED activity here. There was a very dull knife to cut down the HME. So I mean, I knew we're on the money here. We're finding something. And so I go to leave that room, and when I go to leave the room, I look at the room everybody had just walked into, and I see a little wire hanging out of the doorway, and it was a color, I think it was green or something, so it was very obvious next to a mud wall. And I mean, I literally about shit myself when I saw that, and I just remember I just said, Sergeant, get over here now, and Sergeant Williams came over there, and he said, yeah, what's up? I didn't say a word. I just pointed at it. And he looked at it and he said, oh, fuck. Everybody out now. So they didn't finish clearing the, because there was trash all in there and stuff they were trying to check out. But they pulled everybody out. And so Twist is across from me. Sergeant Williams is just to the left of me. And we're just pulling security while Joe goes back with Leon and the minesweeper and clears a team on the other side of the road, in order to maneuver on this guy that we were going after. And it just happened out of nowhere. The guy ended up turning back around, moving straight toward us. Nobody had planned this out. Joe, the minesweeper, had not got a team to the other side of the road, so we weren't ready for anything. And it's just Twist, Williams, and me. That's it at the front part. So I knew in a situation like that we don't have time to capture this guy. We already had to go to kill him if need be. So now I said, well, team's not set up. It's just too dangerous to let him live. So I was going to shoot him. And so I heard the bike coming around the corner of the building. And mind you, like I said, it was a 2-story compound. So I was kind of looking upward because the second story of the compound was right on a road. Up top. So he was coming around the corner, and I remember all that we were able to get out in this split second was I just looked at Sergeant Williams, and all he did was give me a head nod. I knew what that head nod was. So that's why I went to go shoot him. And as I was going to raise my saw, They ended up detonating it off to the right of me, and that's a big reason I don't think it was a pressure plate, is because I could feel the blast was not directly under me. It was off to the right a little bit. And so I remember getting blasted up into the air. I just guessed about 25 feet because I could hear that, I could feel that impact, and then I could feel the weightlessness, and then I could feel hitting the ground. At first, I didn't know it was an IED. First platoon, we hadn't, Levis had been hit by an IED in second platoon, but we hadn't, besides the vehicle, nobody had gotten severely injured by an IED in first platoon. So my mind did not go to IED. My mind actually went to RPG. I thought it was an ambush. And so that's another reason my mind was going crazy of, I'm going to die, because I'm thinking, okay, Levis just died. And then also, if they're attacking right now, Twist and Williams are not going to be able to save me. But that's where I was wrong, and they did not. There was no secondary, as you know. There was no ambush right after the IED, so it's about as good as it gets in a fucked up way. And I just felt somebody grab me by the back and start, pulling me out, and I couldn't see anything at this time. I just remember trying to stand up, and what I didn't realize I was doing is I was actually shoving the bone of my arm into the ground, and then I didn't realize my left leg, the tibia, was ripped out each end. I didn't realize the extent of the damage. Twist ended up pulling me out of all this smoke and dust, and then that's kind of one of the first things I see is Williams at my head, and I mean it was quick. Like we had a shit hot platoon. Williams started calling up that 9 line like it was like it like. I mean, he had that thing memorized like no other. He called up the 9 line in no time. Twist ended up, putting the tourniquets around my right leg, which the muscle had retracted back up into my thigh, so it was very, very thick. And so he had to get the tourniquet all around this, and luckily everybody was able to get 2 tourniquets around each limb. And Joe Morrissey had ran back over there at this point with Leon, and he started putting a tourniquet on my left leg, which the tibia was ripped out each end. And there was those moments as far as like where my mind was at. I was, the first minute you're probably screaming, saying, "Why me?" And then after that, I was just like, okay, well, I'm dead, so I'll just try to tell some jokes on the way out. So that's why I tried to tell some of the jokes, like the funniest one was probably asking. I looked at Williams. I was like, "Sergeant, I need you to do me one last favor." He's like, "What's up, Wally? Anything?" And I was like, "I need you to put that on my jump log." What the fuck? But yeah, ended up, getting all the tourniquets on me. I think I accidentally stabbed Joe in the leg with my tibia because it started twitching when he put the tourniquet on there.
Wow.
Then they ended up, there's a lot of stuff going on in this. Obviously the plate carrier, removed the whole plate carrier. I was choking on dirt. They had to waterboard me. Literally, they had to take a water bottle out and start pouring it all in my face so I could get all this dirt out of my mouth because I was literally choking on the dirt.
Wow.
And but yeah, they did everything. It felt like a lifetime, but luckily we had a platoon that was, like I said, shit hot, and they got me to that bird in like 10 minutes. And got me out of there. And I remember probably the last thing I said was I looked at Sergeant Ayers before I got on the bird, and I said, "I'm sorry." And I was really just saying I'm sorry because I felt like me being a little bit bloodthirsty at the time, trying to go kill that guy, then in turn got me hit by the IED, then in turn puts everybody else's lives in danger. So that's why I was saying sorry, because I felt like I had made a mistake. Which the bad part is, I realize it's not a mistake because everybody walked in on that.
Yeah.
I think they hit me because I was second best of what they could get, and I think they wanted Sergeant Williams because then you could have cut off comms with the rest of the squad, and that would have been a perfect ambush. And I think they just said, "Well, let's get the 249 guy instead."
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I think my deployment was how intelligent they actually were in regards to tactics of kind of deceiving tactics, thinking they're going to do something, and just wanted to be in something so different. And before I let you go, brother, we definitely got to do a part 2 of this, man. Definitely talking more. What would be your best advice for someone going through what you went through, injury wise, recovering great how you did? and trying to transition out of the military?
I mean that's a really difficult question, but doing a lot of the nonprofit work that I've done, I tried to start to learn that really veterans, especially combat veterans, that's mainly who I was helping out with that foundation, and they just have to figure out what works best for them because I've seen it with way too many foundations of they throw this like blanket response onto all combat veterans when it's not going to work the same. It could be, some combat vets could have had trauma before they joined the military when that could actually be the root cause of a lot of their mental health issues. Or it could be, a lot of people have had to kill kids and they can go through war. War never bothers them, but killing that one kid that one day in Iraq bothered them beyond belief. So you just got to approach it differently for everybody, but don't just let, these groups out there try to tell you what you need. You find out what you need. I don't know any, many nonprofits out there that push me to go into jujitsu, but that was one of those things that helped me out mentally. You just have to find the answer for yourself, and like I said, that's going to vary for everybody.
Very does, man. And it's really great when we do have people who kind of experience what we've experienced and being able to help other people. I know I've met people here just in Cali who I've met a couple 82nd people come into where I work right now at the shop, and it's just kind of hearing their experiences. It's definitely something that I love just talking to them, just because you can see that relatedness. Like they haven't been able to talk to somebody like us. But I want to say thank you, brother. I mean, definitely with the little complications before, but it's all good. We'll
We'll
definitely
do a
have a
round
part
two.
two, man. Oh yeah, hell yeah. But right before, man, let people know where they can find you. I know you do some government stuff right now. You kind of work with some government things, or is that done?
No, I
Oh, no.
actually lost my job when January hit because politics is a pretty dirty business, and when it moves from one politician to the next, sometimes the next politician doesn't pick you up.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you in regards to some of the nonprofit stuff you partner?
Well, I mean, I've actually I left the nonprofit. The PTSD Foundation of America was the nonprofit that I was with for a little over a year, and ended up leaving to go work into politics. And I didn't want to collide the two and be working both, nonprofit and be in politics. Um, so really, I guess the only way to find me is on Instagram. I've done a pretty good job at staying hidden, especially just getting ready for the wedding. I've just kind of, and then the book coming out, which I'm sure we'll talk about next time. But yeah, just all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah, got it.
I've kind of stayed hidden, but I'm very easy to find. Just, I mean, literally, if you type in Samuel Walley, there's probably 1,000 articles on me on Google.
I can attest there is. I was doing a little research to see. I'm like, all right, this motherfucker just he's talking shit now. He thinks he's all shit now.
Damn, how many
But
is he in?
yeah, my big dog. Well, such a pleasure, man. I'll see you this Saturday. Congratulations ahead of time, man. And it was a pleasure, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Let's party it up. So yeah.